I've been noticing on the internet a lot lately a couple of things. One is, religious arguments, trying to prove a point based on scriptures, whatever the religion, And this is nothing new. The newness is, I suppose, that we have the World Wide Web now to expand our argument audience. But the reality is that when you're studying a set of ancient writings, ancient religious beliefs, whether it's the Bible, the Quran, any other myriad of holy books, or deemed holy books by the particular religions, you're simply studying the beliefs of someone else. There is nothing to prove there. You cannot prove fact based on simply what someone else believes. And even having been a minister for almost 30 years now, I've just come to this place in my life where you recognize that Scripture proves nothing except to the people who already embrace it. Okay, and that's why you can have a preacher or a rabbi or a imam who commands a particular audience regularly, and getting the affirmation from their audience that they begin to believe their own stuff. That is, they think that outside of their four walls of the institution, that they garner that same respect, but they don't. No. These people are simply believing what they choose to believe, and they happen to be believing what this speaker is giving them. And so I think as believers, for whatever religion or whatever sect of religion we will affiliate ourselves, or even to no religion at all, even the atheist, the same thing. Your belief is not fact. And that might be a stretch for the atheist, thinking, you got to prove. No, even the atheist believes what they believe without fact. Okay, just because you haven't experienced or witnessed a thing does not invalidate its existence. Okay. So the atheist is just as much a believer, as the religious person. Neither one are basing their beliefs on fact. They're simply basing their belief on belief. And that's okay. I think we have to come to the place, in our lives, we have to stop worrying about convincing other people that we're right. To me, that's an insecurity issue. Having the need to convince people to be on your side, to embrace what you believe, or to embrace what I believe. Because in all humility, any of us could be wrong. Okay, so I'm studying Scripture, from whatever, say the Christian religion or the Jewish religion or something, and I'm really studying the Scripture and researching and translating and trying to grasp the understanding and all. But two things: the thing that I'm studying may be wrong, or the conclusions that I'm coming to based on what I'm studying could be wrong. I mean, that's simply the reality. That's simply logic. No matter what we believe, we could be wrong. See, for 10 years, I was an atheist, I left home at 17, joined the military. It wasn't long before I became an atheist. And I was a staunch atheist, a serious atheist. Now, not like today. I wasn't hating anybody. I wasn't hating on religious folks. I wasn't hating on Christians and all that stuff. I wasn't ridiculing them or mocking them. It was just that's what you believe, and it's not true as far as I was concerned. But I wouldn't get mad. I mean, if you wanted to believe in Mickey Mouse, that Mickey Mouse was God, would I get mad at you? No. So I wasn't mad at religious folks, but I had a foundation in the religion, and often I knew more of what they were supposed to be believing than what they were actually believing, okay? But in all those years that I was an atheist, a staunch atheist, I was always logical and sensible enough to realize that no matter what I believed, I could be wrong. And I think that's a humility that we all need to walk in, whether we're religious folks or atheist folks, whatever we are, is that whatever we've embraced, whatever we believe, we could be wrong. And that's where the humility steps in. And so I know grown men that get angry when folks don't agree with them on social issues or religious issues or political issues. Come on now, I mean, we have differences of opinion, but our opinion isn't etched in stone as far as its validity. Okay, I see the same thing with the whole patriot thing, you know. Oh, waving the flag, I'm a patriot, wearing the colors, you know, and all these proclamations, you know, don't kneel during the anthem and respect the flag and the anthem and all this stuff, man. Well, what's a patriot? You know, funny thing, in my litmus test, which is simply mine, which may not, you know, really be that accurate, is I say, well, you're a patriot, running around wearing your red, white, and blue outfit, waving the flag and talking all this stuff about America. So what were you in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard? Oh, nothing. Well, why not? That is so easy to talk. And I'm just saying, I mean, that's not really a litmus test to determine whether an individual is patriotic to the nation or not, but to me, it is. But it's just my belief, okay? And I think a more valid belief, as far as, say, patriotism would be, how do you treat other citizens of your nation? If you don't respect all of the citizens of your nation, you know, that haven't committed crimes or done anything heinous, then you know, I really challenge if you're a patriot. The flag itself represents the nation. Well, what does a nation represent? The people of the nation, we the people. So if all the people who are of that nation are not being respected, you know, I doubt your patriotism. I know you think you are patriotic, but you're not. And so that's another one of my tests, my beliefs, right? So that's what we're looking at today. I think it's the difference between what we believe and what we know, okay? And so often we proclaim things as if we know when they're simply the things that we've chosen to believe. And it's very important. It's very important because our little eyes are watching, our children are watching us, and they're taking notes. You know, they're taking subconscious notes. And we wonder why our kids are so jacked up sometimes. Either our kids are really jacked up or they're really well. The ones that are well are the ones that are trying to distance themselves from our beliefs that we claim is knowledge. You know, what I've seen even in the church and in our communities, in our nation, is that we are proclaiming wellness when we're not. I think that's why you find even in the politics, when you have a whole, almost half a nation, you know, denying that the election was valid, was because a difficult time simply admitting that what they believed, they didn't know. Okay, affirming the victory, affirming the win, you know, all throughout the process, and then having to be faced with the stark reality that no, I was wrong. Rather than do that, just deny it. I was right. I was cheated. It wasn't fair. It was stolen. And so this is what we do. You know, we deflect rather than correct ourselves. We spend a lot of time challenging other people, challenging their unwellness. What do you mean you're a he when you're a she? Or what do you mean you're a she when you're he? Or what do you mean you're non-binary? Or what kind of pronoun? And all this stuff. I mean, what does it matter what someone else believes? You know, we're walking around as human beings unwell and still concerning ourselves with other folks, you know. And so what I'm suggesting is that we don't need to be doing so much proclaiming, okay? Proclaiming this religion, proclaiming patriotism, proclaiming this and proclaiming that. No, spend more time affirming and challenging yourself. I need to spend more time affirming and challenging myself. What exactly does that mean? Well, the challenging part is critically examining myself, critically examining my life. And that doesn't take a whole lot of time. There's an old Buddhist saying that if you want to find the mother, just follow the children, and the children will lead you to the mother. You got ills? Follow them back to their roots. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. And so that's the challenge. The challenge is looking at our own lives and determining how we can be better, how we can be fixed, how we can improve. What have I been embracing that hasn't been working? What have I been embracing that's simply wrong or immoral? We proclaim so often the religion. Whether it's Christian religion, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, whatever. The question is, how is my life? Is this that I am proclaiming really, the essence of it really being demonstrated in my life? Like the Christian religion, for example, where Jesus expressed, that you have to love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. Am I doing that? Am I loving my neighbor? And the same thing can be said for patriotism. Patriotism is your response to your neighbor. Are you hating your neighbor? Are you loving your neighbor? You see, this is very important. Because, see, as long as we're proclaiming this is true, proclaiming that's right, proclaiming you're wrong and I'm right, as long as we're proclaiming, we're not trying to correct ourselves. We're simply doubling down on what we've already bought into, what we already believe. So there is no challenge to ourselves like that. We have to stop proclaiming and begin challenging and affirming ourselves. And the affirmation is that when you recognize that there is something that needs to be adjusted, adjust and then affirm that adjustment. Okay. Every day the affirmation is convincing you, even on a subconscious level, to continue walking this way. It's very important. And you know what? The best affirmation, the best challenges, and maybe we can call it a proclamation, but an internal proclamation, because the most effective proclamation, the most effective challenge, the most effective affirmations are those that no other ears hear but your own. You don't need a platform for that. Because the moment you bring someone else in the mix, automatically you have this desire or this need to project a particular image of success. But the reality is we're all walking around in sort of an air of non-success, of non-fulfillment. And we recognize that, and we want to do better. We want to be better. But when we bring people into our mix, when we bring people into our world, into our sphere of reality, we sort of stop focusing on getting better. And we're intent on projecting an image for everyone to see that we already are better. And that's a mask. And there is no healing behind the mask. And so that's why these affirmations and challenges and the things that we think and the things that we choose to believe, they should be ever evolving, but in silence. And you might say, well, in silence, well, what are you doing on this program? Yeah, in silence to a point, but I have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to share what I discover. But then if I'm going to be sharing what I discover, then I have a responsibility to be very critical about myself, to make sure that what I'm presenting is not simply a validation of what I've already chosen to believe. There are times on this program, through the course of the program, I begin to realize things myself. And oh, really? I said that. That's right. We have to be in that constant state of personal evolution. I know the term evolution for a lot of people sort of strikes us the wrong way, but I mean, when I say evolution, I just mean growth. Obvious growth. As you begin to grow, your worldview begins to change. You begin to see people differently, see yourself differently. That's the evolution. So I know a lot of folks, especially a couple, grown people that get so angry, when folks don't agree with them. But there is this. That's the child in us. Because I guarantee you, almost, I kind of guarantee you that what you believe now is probably not what you believed 20 years ago. And what you believe now is probably not what you're going to believe 20 years from now. And so then the question is, what has influenced your evolution? Is it a positive growth or is it a negative growth? See, we can tell from the politics in this nation that many people have changed. Many people have evolved over, say, the past 15 years or so. But has it been positive or has it been negative? And if it's been negative, it's time simply to reevaluate, to challenge yourself. And to begin to affirm within you a different way. And so this is like a lifelong chore, a lifelong task, okay? And for me personally, anything that I've spoken here, I've demonstrated within my own life, It's like the education. At 50, I decided to get an associate degree. By the time I was 60, I had earned my MBA. I look at my health. For the past 10, 12, 13 years, I've been trying to be healthy and exercise and eat. But even my exercise and my diet has evolved throughout the process. We have to continue challenging ourselves, recognizing deficiencies, embracing proficiencies, and then affirming those proficiencies in our lives. But so how do we do that? How can I wake up in the morning and determine that there is something wrong in me that needs to be addressed? Well, the first thing is to be honest. I have to be honest with myself. We cannot go through life justifying our ills. Man, I'm going to be 65 years old this year, 2023. And so I'm trying to be healthy. I'm trying to eat healthy. But it'd be easy not to. Come on, who doesn't like good food? Who doesn't like good tasting food, man? But the reality is, you have to challenge yourself. I have to challenge myself. If it's not right, I can't justify what I'm doing. Well, eating healthy, that's boring. You can't do that. Don't justify your ills. Examine them and try to determine what is it that I can do to be better. See, we have in this nation, for many people in this nation, what seems to be an oppression. An oppression that has been going on in this nation for many, many years. So what do? Oh, well, this is just the way that it is. No. It's time to evolve. You can conceivably evolve beyond the oppressive hand that seems to be affecting you right now. You don't believe me? Well, I'll tell you, speaking to someone recently, real intelligent woman. She was a white woman from another nation, and she really didn't. It's very difficult to comprehend what's honestly going on in this nation simply from the news outside of this country. And a lot of times they can come to a conclusion. People can come to a conclusion outside of this nation that things are a lot worse than they really are. Like you see George Floyd getting choked out, or some of these other brothers getting killed or murdered, or sisters getting killed by the police, and all this stuff going on, and that's the news. The extent of the news is being piped out internationally. People can get a very, very jaded or convoluted perspective of the situation in this nation. So she was here, and I was talking to her, and we were enjoying the conversation, and I told her, as a black man, what I try to do is I try to make myself better than these white folks that might take issue with me, or these white folks that might, have racial intent behind their rhetoric or their actions. And so I make sure that, I'm more educated than most of them. I live in a better neighborhood than most of them. I have a bigger house than most of them. My daughter attends a high school where the tuition is probably more than many of them make. And as I was going through this, she kind of took offense and said, well, why do you have to feel like you're better than other folks? And that's a deep question. And it was an honest question from a good person. But the reality is, when you've taken years and years of someone telling you you're this, or you're that, or you're not this, or you're not that, and you begin conditioned and you begin programmed to believe that, there has to be a mechanism, there has to be a vehicle to deprogram yourself from that negative self-image. And this is like the affirmation. So you're told that you're less than that, or less than them, or whatever, but you come home to a giant house. You come home to a great neighborhood. Every payday you have you have a good bank account. You are actually affirming yourself through your life experience as it improves. And so how do you improve your life experience? Well, education, okay, right? Education. And good health, taking care of yourself, raising sane children and well children, and educating them. This is how you bring yourself out of that brainwashing that's been perpetrated upon you for generations and generations and generations. And you will begin to believe in yourself better. But not only that, as much as a victim as the oppressed individual are the oppressors, because most of the time they actually believe the stuff that they're saying. They actually believe what they've been embracing and what they've been spewing and all that. But as you begin to force them to face the fact of their own inferiorities, you're not only freeing you from the brainwashing that has oppressed you, you're freeing them from the brainwashing that has, in effect, oppressed them as well with falsehoods and misunderstandings. It's very important. It's very important to better yourself and to affirm yourself. Not just to spout beliefs, that's what we talked about as we opened up, the religious beliefs versus knowing, patriotic beliefs versus knowing. All this stuff we're proclaiming that we don't know. There is a way to know. But the caveat is that as you begin to know, as you begin to walk with your eyes open, as you begin to get educated, as your worldview begins to expand, you begin to realize those things that you've been proclaiming. Many of them simply are just not true. I mean, like some of the religions, I want to say all of the religions are built on people whose worldview was very small, very limited. And in situations such as this, it's easy to demonize folks who aren't like you. It's easy to demonize folks who you don't really have a relationship with. You can't really observe. You can't really recognize that they're no different than you. And so we find that many of our religions are based in culture, ancient cultures, ancient values, ancient mores. And now that we're no longer ancient, we're still maintaining and trying to believe these ancient writings of people who were cutting edge for their time. And if those cutting-edge folks in their time who wrote those scriptures and those holy books that we embrace so well today, if those folks who were cutting edge were in our time, they wouldn't be embracing half that stuff because they were cutting edge. Even for their time, they'd be cutting edge in our time. Well, what I'm saying is there just comes a time that what you believe is true, but to you. And so it's imperative that we spend our time challenging the things that we believe with facts, as facts are coming forth, not to deny a belief simply because of a lack of facts, but to be able to look at a situation logically and rationally and sensibly and ask yourself, is this true? You might be surprised. And so I'm not trying to diss any religion or anybody's belief or anything. I'm just trying to challenge you. I'm trying to challenge me. I'm trying to challenge all of us. That we need to challenge everything about us. Everything about us politically, socially, spiritually, religiously, health-wise, everything. Challenge yourself. Because, again, your children are watching. And that's our responsibility. I know for me. I've always wanted my kids to be better than me, okay? And it's really not difficult. All kids should be better than their parents. Their parents need to be hands-on. Parents need to be in a child's life. The key is this: quit lying to your child. Quit perpetrating the fraud, playing that hero role. It's not doing them any good. Man, I was talking to a religious person recently, and we were talking about the kids, and the promiscuity and, things kids might be getting into that they shouldn't. And this person was telling me, they really talk to these kids at church and really express to them, all this stuff. I said, did you tell them the truth? Did you tell them that's where you failed when you were their age? I mean, see, that's the key. That's the key to helping our children become better than us, is that we have to tell them the truth. And that's how they get better than us. It's because we share with them our ills. We share with them our dysfunction. We share with them the mistakes that we've made and what we've learned from those mistakes. And really, that's it. And then as well, coupled with all of the knowledge, all of the insight that you've garnered throughout your life, that you've challenged yourself with. So this is where the challenging comes in, because you have to make sure that as you begin imparting into your young people, that you're not imparting to them fictitious beliefs and attitudes and things that you have appropriated that are just not good, and feeding that poison into them as well. Don't do that. This is why we must challenge ourselves. I don't care what we believe. And I was talking to an acquaintance of mine, and he's got an alternative lifestyle. And I don't take issue with that, because we're all on our own journeys. I can't judge you on your journey. I'm still trying to walk mine out. But he said, he liked me, as a minister, because, I was the only really sensible minister that he's heard in a long time. I guess I don't know how limited his exposure is, But so I came back and I said, well, all it is just I'm seeking truth. And so we all must do is seek truth. But don't seek truth to validate what you've already believed. Seek truth to challenge you. Man, I didn't hear from that guy ever again after that. Because I'm not here to validate you. I'm still walking my own path out, trying to determine what is right that I might validate in my own life. We each have to do that. So the key is, and I'm telling you, man, this is the key to what I believe is my insight, whether it's in the religious realm or whether it's simply in the regular social realm, is just that I am not simply embracing things that will validate, or ideas and beliefs that will validate what I like or what I want to do. Man, if it's challenging to me, I'm going to check. If I'm wrong, I'm going to adjust. I'm not going to just keep looking for somebody that affirms what I already like to do, and, well, I like this guy now. That ain't it. No, man, tell me something that challenges me. Now, you tell me something that challenges me, and because it's your belief, I'm really going to think about it. And if it makes sense, I'll adjust. But if it's simply just something you're espousing because it's what you've chosen to believe, it'll go in one ear and out the other. But I want to be well. And what that entails then is challenging me. Man, that's how I'm kind of healthy. Man, I've been working out, this 40-minute cardio for quite some time. And maybe about 3 years ago, I added like 50 push-ups a day. And then after that, I have this little wooden dummy. You've seen the martial art, the thing is the cylinder type thing with the little arms sticking out and the legs sticking out. I mean, I work that thing 400 moves a day. That's like 50 times a set of 8 moves, okay? Then I also do this thing, to try to build my arms and all, and my abs. And then after that, I do the 40-minute martial art cardio, which consists of like 900 kicks and 1,000 punches. And I'm continually coming up with ideas. I'm changing my diet, adding good food, healthier foods, changing this, adjusting that, researching, always challenging myself. Man, I used to love Twinkies and potato chips. And waking up maybe 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and frying like 5 potatoes, French fries, and eating them. I mean, there's stuff that that tastes good, that feels good, that's just not good for you. I've cut those things out. I found other things to substitute them with that are more healthy. Always challenging myself. So then what we have is, we have with our kids that are watching us, we share with them our deficiencies. We share with them our stories of the failures in our lives, man. You know it's good to tell the stories of the victories in life. This is what I take issue, a lot of times in church with the preachers or the rabbis or the imams or whatever, especially when they're sharing stories out of their own lives. They too often simply share the victories and how I did this and how I did that and I was able to accomplish this and that. Man, those aren't helping. Those aren't helping. Those stories do not help people that are walking through times trying to find their way. The people that are listening, the saints that need to be perfected, are not perfected by victory messages. They're perfected by the true messages of the struggle of the speaker and how they persevered. And then came the victory. But the power and the strength isn't in the victory part of the message. The power and the strength is in how an individual perseveres through the suffering, how an individual perseveres through the down times. And then, yes, now I see you're okay now, but the strength is the journey of struggle. How did you make it? How do I make it? Man, if I'm suffering, if I'm struggling and trying to find my way, just listening to you tell me how good your life is not helping me. Tell me how bad your life was and how you persevered and where you got the strength and the energy to persevere, okay? And so that's what I'm telling you now, is that strength and energy to persevere can be self-perpetuating if you're continually challenging yourself and continually improving yourself. It's not a difficult thing. Man, I was telling some folks, I spent like 26 years in the hoods, carrying mail. And it was difficult. I came out of corporate America. I took a buyout from NCR Corporation from wearing a three-piece suit, hat with a little feather in it, trench coat, and a briefcase to being a mailman within a time of 5 months. From 13 years with that company. And it was difficult. Man, you're talking about just walking outside no matter what the elements are, carrying a bag, a weight, around. And man, there were times I didn't think I could make it early on. But, I had to come up with a game plan. Because, the management was, they're like diligent, you got to make it, because they're trying to make those numbers, right? The faster you go, the less money we pay you for the same amount of work. So they're on you. And so that can be very depressing. At the same time, you're dealing with elements. At the same time, you're dealing with people. Same time, you're dealing with dogs and all this kind of stuff, man. And so I came to a point where I had a very long route, 40,000 steps, and I turned it into my exercise program. And to where I'm double timing it. And so what I was able to do was I was able to find a way to look positive at something difficult that I was required to do. And that's what I did. I found myself in time, I'd take vacation, be off for 4 days. On that 5th day, I was like, I couldn't wait to get back to work just so I could exercise. And not only that, I'll tell you, it was a psychological advantage as well, because a lot of times you're going to find people in management employee situations, and management is hard and harsh, and employees are getting angry and anxious and all that stuff. Well, when I'm coming to work because I'm coming to exercise because I want to. When I'm coming to work and I'm told you got to get this thing done in like 8.5 hours, and I get it done in 8 hours and 10 minutes. Because I'm no longer functioning based on the heavy hand. Now I'm functioning based on what I'm trying to do for myself, my affirmations, okay? So immediately the stress is gone as well. So what I'm sharing with you is just there are different ways. There are ways of affecting the situations that we find ourselves involved in, and there are positive ways. And until you find that positive way, keep challenging yourself, challenging yourself. Find a way to look at a situation. It may be this very same situation, just looking at it a little different. I remember I saw a young lady at the office the other day. She's new, and they were telling her after 4 hours that she needed to go home. They didn't need her. And she was just standing there looking depressed. And I went to talk to her, and I said, look, I said, this place is not your life. This place is your sustenance, where you get your paycheck. Now, I know you want more hours today, but I guarantee you next week they're going to be having you work more hours than you ordinarily would have. And so you get opportunity then to either look at the glass half full or half empty. And I shared with her that when I was new, and if they would tell me that they didn't need me for the rest of the day, that was great because I got to go home. And if they told me they needed me to work an extra 4 or 5 hours that day, that was great because I get to make more money. Rather than instead, if they tell me to go home, I'm like, I'm not making any money. If they tell me to stay, gosh, I'd rather go home. No, always look at the positive. That is another area of challenge to your life. And all these are good. And ultimately, we're going to believe stuff. As we open, talking about what we believe and what we proclaim and all that stuff, we are going to, that's just human nature. We're going to believe stuff. We have no choice. But we can hone our beliefs and fine-tune our beliefs. And not be fooling ourselves, not be negative, because I'm telling you, your kids are watching. And you're going to be shaping them for their future. They're going to be either having your same struggles, or they're going to be able to overcome your struggles, because not only did you share with them how you struggled, but you shared with them who you are today and the insight that you have. They will be better than you. And really, isn't that really the point?